My friends, we are here. The Cathedral of Counter-Strike has opened its doors once again. In the Lanxess Arena, the playoffs begin today, and we had two marquee matchups to get the affair started. In our first matchup, we had a group of Portuguese Davids casting stones at an all-too-familiar Goliath, Saw taking on Faze Clan. And following them, we had a young team trying to beat the group stage merchant allegations against a team that since its new formation has been firing on all cylinders. We had Mouz taking on G2. And man, both of these series absolutely delivered and once again reaffirmed that when all else fails, Cologne is Counter-Strike's greatest tournament. So today, we're going to take a second and recap the first day of quarterfinals, everything you need to know as the last 2 days unfold before us. And before we get started, I have a special announcement. If you're watching this video on the first day it released, tonight at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be making an appearance on the Josh and Strike podcast. Josh, for those of you who don't know, he is an Australian-based caster, been around the CS scene for quite a while, and he was nice enough to let me come on and talk about Counter-Strike, a little bit about IEM Cologne, as well as how I do my content here on the channel and what it's like being a smaller content creator in the space. I've never been invited on another show, but it's definitely an exciting opportunity. If you want to catch me in a more casual context, make sure you join us. I'll be streaming my perspective, and Josh will be streaming his as well. And when it's done, it will be uploaded on his channel, which I will link in the description down below. There is nothing more important than supporting the small creators in the industry, and people like Josh who do freelance casting are the backbone of Tier 2 and Tier 3 Counter-Strike. Without people like him, those games would exist in a vacuum, so let's show him some love from my community to his, and with that, let's go ahead and get into the recap. We let off today with Saw Gaming taking on Faze Clan, Saw looking to continue the Cinderella run, entering the Cathedral, looking to continue to defy every odd and expectation of them, and it being against Faze Clan is just pure poetry. The last time there was a Cinderella run like this was back in Cologne 2022, and it was the Spanish team, Movistar Riders, who were eliminated by Faze Clan in the semifinals. And now here we are, with Saw on a similar run making the semifinals by beating that very same Faze Clan. And listen, while there's absolutely a lot to criticize about Faze Clan and their performance in this best of 3, let's not get it twisted. Saw were legit. They went out and beat Faze straight up. They were the better team. They executed better strats and had much better team coordination throughout all 3 maps, in my opinion. I mean, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. The first map, Inferno, they trounced Faze 13-6. They completely neutralized Faze on their T side. Rops could get nothing going through the apartments. They took that lurk out of play, and they maintained firm economic and map control throughout the half. And they did off the back of really smart decision making. Faze were poised for a very early run with winning the pistol and the force buy wars on the second round, but very crucially, Udrix saved an M4 on that second round, took it into the third, and backed up by the hero M4, Udrix would drop 4 kills on the B site to neutralize the Faze economic advantage, and off the back of that, Saw would run off 4 straight rounds, only allow Faze 2 more rounds for the half, and finish with an 8-4 advantage going into their T side. Like, their defense was just so simple but so effective. Once again, I've used this a few times to talk about this team, but it's textbook Counter-Strike. The secret to Inferno on defense is to not bite on over-rotates, don't overuse your utility early on in the round, and be careful not to get picked around the extremities. If you can do all that and lock down stuff like Pit going onto A site, not instantly give up banana control, you take so much power away from the T's, and usually Faze like to abuse their map control. They'll be all the way up B, executing onto the B side, but Rops will be in apartments. He'll get 1 pick on the rotating players, and suddenly Faze are rotating A. But none of that was able to happen because Saw played so steady. Add on to that, Udrix and Arados continued to excite and thrill as the lead players for this team. Just, again, perfect Counter-Strike from Saw. And on the T side, again, we're operating off of the very simplest procedures here. They're just doing it very well. Like on round 17, where both teams are pretty low on economy, Faze have just won the last 2 rounds, and Saw are forced into a position where they want to force buy and press the advantage. Now the thing is here, even though Faze definitely have the gun advantage, what they lack is the proper utility, especially on the A site. Their utility going into this round is very thin because you need an extreme amount of utility to hold off the B rush. So they're going to use and expend a lot of their utility, and they're going to gain banana control for it, even start pushing down mid not there long after. Saw aren't interested in B at all during this round. They're going to work up alt mid into abs and eventually work towards the A hit. And if we pause right here at 1 minute 28 seconds, you'll see what I'm talking about. Rops and Rain are holding both sides of mid, Arch and Boiler, but they have no offensive utility. No Molotovs, no nades, one flash, one smoke. That is not enough to stop rushing players with Mac 10s. And what's going to happen here, Saw are simply just going to trade for mid control and then take the A site. Faze have no counter flashes, no Molotovs, nothing to slow down this attack. So even if the individuals pop off, there's just too many numbers from Saw flooding in for them to be able to hold it off. They get the site, they get the bomb down, and the 2B players, yeah, they got all that B control, but it amounted to nothing, and they're forced into an immediate save because Faze are broke. They can't go into next round and buy, and they can't possibly attempt this retake. And keep in mind as we start going into game 2 that Faze, not only did they lose this game tactically, their fragging was falling short quite a bit. Frozen and Brokey were on disaster watch in this Inferno game, 8 kills and 6 kills respectively. Robs and Rain were getting theirs, but Frozen is your aggressive player, Brokey is your opper. You need impact from these players, and that's going to be a problem throughout this series, but thankfully, they do have a bit of a redemption arc as we start the next map. On Anubis, we certainly get a classic Jekyll and Hyde Faze performance, where they look like they're falling apart on Inferno, we pull up to Anubis, and suddenly, everything's fine, the team's looking way sharper, everyone's working better around each other, Brokey's having more impact, Frozen's having more impact, Robs and Rain maintain their output, tactically they look a lot sharper. But here's the thing, yeah, they do really good on their opening half on the T side because they get to control the momentum, but keep in mind, I'll say it again because it keeps coming up, Anubis, very T-sided, and 8-4 half is absolutely the expected outcome. So I don't think it's any surprise that when we swap sides, suddenly Saw are on a little bit of a run, they're threatening the comeback. Now we're going to fast forward all the way to round 22, because despite what Saw have been doing so far in the second half, if they had not gone on to win this series, they were going to look back at these final 3 rounds and go, Because listen, on this round, things are going to go nice. Faze are forced to save, they just have Brokey with the hero op. Saw, they're going to execute a simple A push. Brokey's going to get the first pick on Arados and then haul ass out there and try and keep his hands on the op. Ujerx is going to take over an entry into the A site and secure the site for his team. And even though Rain is eventually going to sneak up on Story and get a pick and save an AK, the crucial thing is, it's a tie game, 11-11. You were threatening to eliminate FaZe Clan to... You know what? I'm leaving that in. I'm not going to cut that. You're threatening to eliminate FaZe Clan 2-0. So now, 11-11. FaZe's econ is still wrecked. If you win the next round and get match point, FaZe are going to have nothing. So all you gotta do here on this round is not fuck it up. Saw, can you do that for me? Can you just not fuck it up, please? No, wait, Frozen. No, what are you doing, Frozen? Frozen, stop it. Frozen, no. You're not allowed to do this, Frozen. It's illegal. Okay, Story, nice. Get the pick back. Okay, we're fine. 4v4. That favors us. We're on the T side. No big deal. All you guys gotta do is rotate. Just take the bomb the other way. You don't have to go B. B for bait. Don't do it. All right, Buterius. Yeah, a little bit of distraction. Okay, I like it. Arados, get towards A main. Yeah, okay. All right, Faze starting to rotate. I'm a little more concerned. Okay, Robs with the AUG. You know, AUG equal bad. Call of Duty. This is not. Just don't peek into the AUG. Just don't dry peek the AUG. Don't dry peek into the AUG, please. Arados, please. Don't. Please don't. Arados, I could feel it. You want to dry peek this AUG right now. Please don't. Oh, okay, shoulder peek it. Okay. All right, not bad. Broke it with the immediate trade. That's fine. Okay, we're still good. 3v3, we're still good. All right, Story, great pick. 3v2, should be able to bring it home, boys. Not much time left, 30 seconds. You know, it's just Kerrigan and Rain, the old guys. They're older than dirt, older than time. All right, you jerks, what are we doing here? I need you to get out of there, bud. You're like the best player still alive. Okay, you had to go around the rotate, so it's a 2v2 on the bomb site. Guys? Story, guys? Story? Oh no. Oh no. Story, please. The clutch of your life, dude. To win the series, Story. Okay, you got one? It's just Kerrigan. Please. Just play time. Just play time, Story. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, so let's just call a spade a spade. Saw they choked the 3v2 that they should have won, Kerrigan should never be winning that clutch. It is what it is, and even in the next round, the heartbreak compounds because once again, Saw finds himself in a very winnable situation. The clock's running down, it's into a 3v3. Roman starts to find the last minute picks that they need. All of a sudden, it's a 1v2 with Frozen, and the clock is running low, but Frozen just peeks out E-Box, finds both kills, and wins it for Faze outright. So that's 2 moments that Saw could have turned into potential victory. This is usually where a weaker team falls apart mentally because you're on the stage. You're trying to eliminate a team that everyone considers to be better than you, and you've just missed a crucial opportunity. I would expect a weaker team to crumble here, but the thing is, we're moving into Nuke, and one thing that we've seen throughout this tournament is that Saw are Nuke specialists. I don't think they were worried one bit, and I think that's what we saw play out, because not only did they have a battle to the death with Faze on Nuke, they would inevitably win it. Now, it's got to be said before we get into this, there were too many rounds for me to choose from when it comes to talking about this Nuke game. I keep on suggesting it when it comes up, but I'm no longer suggesting, I'm making a demand. Go watch these Nuke highlights. This game was that good. There's very much just a snapshot of what I thought was the most interesting and important to the narrative for this game. Now, Saw once again had a great CT side to start off this map. The big thing is, they kept Faze in check. They didn't let them run wild with the economic control, they kept their map control limited, and they were able to win the half 7-5. And going into it, that's a big advantage because you know that Faze's CT side is nothing to be trifled with. Faze started off the second half by winning the pistol round and the conversion thereafter, and on 7-7, it looks like Faze might be trying to turn the corner and take a big lead, because on this first gun round, Saw are going to hit an immediate brick wall named Robs on the ramp. Robs is going to get an insane double with the MP9 that's going to put Saw on the back foot right away. And as Saw descended to the lower bomb site in a 3v4 situation, it looks like Faze are in full control. Frozen has already begun to creep down the vents towards the control room. Eventually, Story would go down to Frozen, leaving Mutiras and Roman in a 2v4 nearly insurmountable odds. And here's the thing, every great Cinderella run has that one moment, and Mutiras, with the bomb down, had his Cinderella moment. An emphatic 4K clutch 1v4 against one of the best teams at closing out rounds in the world. And as Mutiras stands looking at the crowd, are you not entertained? And even then, a blow that would normally be the final nail in the coffin for a lesser team, Faze stands strong. Even when Saw reaches match point 12-8, you think there's just no way that Faze can make yet another overtime comeback on Nuke, and yet it's Faze. Of course they managed to do it. So keep in mind as we jump ahead, that is yet another match point, series point opportunity that Saw will feel like they squandered. And in the opening half of overtime, Saw are going to take the first 2 rounds to go up 14-12, but Faze are going to fire back one more shot before we swap sides. Robs, with a huge multi-kill on the ramp, is going to take one back and keep it close 14-13. Saw are returning to the CT side for the first time in quite a while, and with only 3 rounds remaining, they want to strike out right now, capture map point, put Faze on the back foot yet again. And who else for this team but Ujrix outside in secret, and then Story on the ramp to find the first 2 picks, force Faze into a 3v4. Ujrix has rotated around from secret into the lower bomb site. On 14 HP, he finds the first shot onto Brokey, and then this is perfect awareness from Ujrix. He drops the smoke at his feet, drops the flashbang over the wall. This pushes Faze back because they have to play around that gigantic smoke. They can't just overflow onto Ujrix's position and take the bomb site. It forces them to take a second step, and that's just enough for the Saw teammates to show up and make sure there's no chance for Faze in this 2v4. And Rain tries his best, but it's not enough. Saw secure yet their 3rd attempt at series point, but again, Faze doesn't go down easy. And at first, I wasn't sure if Faze were going to be able to do it one more time, because Rob starts off the round with a rare mistake from him in this series. He goes solo through the ramp smoke and gets immediately picked by Story. That's Faze's best player, down within seconds, and now Faze are fighting uphill against Series Point. But somehow, Faze find that momentum that's just so particular to this team, where they just seemed unbothered by these odds. And as Faze wrap back into A after throwing the outside utility, we get a rare moment of sometimes just how much nerve can really matter. Frozen and Brokey are getting ready to burst out the hut together. They're going to find picks one apiece, and here's the deal. Roman is in a fantastic spot by the vent, by a squeaky door, but he thinks someone's pushing him from Mini, and he turns to look. It's his teammate. He turns away right as the squeaky door opens and goes down without having gotten anything in terms of a trade kill. If Roman is focused on exiting Hut or Squeaky, he might get a crucial pick that's the difference maker in this round. But a little bit nervous, he thinks he's getting pushed, a miscommunication from Saw, and suddenly Roman goes down, Mini falls right after. And even though it's a 2v3, Saw definitely make an attempt at this retake. It's just such a difficult retake with no resources, no extra nades. You have Story stuck on the Omp in heaven. They're going to try it, it's just not going to work out. And the worst part is there aren't even any saves to be had. Kerrigan hunts down both picks in the end, and Faze take another pick back, and we come down to the final round of overtime. Can Faze, one more time, force yet even more play when facing elimination, or can Saw finally lock it in and make their appearance in the semifinals complete? And in this final round, it's the captain of Saw, Mutiris, who is the spark, the same way he was all the way back in round 15. He takes the early creep angle out to the red box outside. Faze rain down the outside smokes to make the cross to secret. They're totally unaware of this position. They're going to get all their utility out. They're going to find Story with an absolute perfect nade and boost combo from Rain, but it's not going to matter. They're going to start creeping behind the boxes. They're going to start thinking they're safe to cross, but no one's even thinking about Mutiris in this position, and the captain, alone in the outside, surrounded by enemies, finds the two picks that are the difference maker for his team. Faze are never expecting this, and he takes two with him to the afterlife, putting Faze in an impossible situation to win. Eridaz seals the deal with a crucial pick on the Lurker and Hut, and from there, the odds just seem like they're too much for Faze. It's Brokey and Romps against the world. Eridaz picks up another pick on Romps, and now it's just Brokey on his own, 3v1 to keep his team alive. And he's going to get down to the lower bomb site. He's going to try his best to get the bomb down, but the Saw players, they know their advantage. They're not giving him anything to work with. Udrik's toying with him towards the control room, fucking with him as he moves back towards single door, and Brokey just can't overcome the odds, and Saw win. They do the impossible. Faze are going home. Just incredible stuff in this opening series, and the reason I focus so much on it is because even though the next series is very entertaining in its own right, the thing is, Mouz gave G2 no room to pull off any theatrics. Mouz handed G2 one of their purest beatings this new lineup has experienced thus far. And boy do I feel vindicated, because I knew Mouz were going to be competitive in this series. A lot of people wrote them off, thought that G2 100% had the advantage. And listen, I think G2 were definitely the justified favorites, but people were acting like Mouz were guaranteed to get blown out. But here's the thing, my prediction in my last video came true. What happens to G2 when the fragging regresses to the means? When they're not playing like 4 players at MVP level, what happens to this team? Because Astralis showed on Mirage that tactically, this team is bankrupt. On DustTube, you get great performances out of Malbs and Munacy, for sure, but Hunter, a little less impactful, and importantly, Nico falls back to earth from the MVP numbers he was putting up previously. And when you compare that, the Mouz output was still just as good. Jimfat, the incredible anchor on the CT side, had great impact throughout the game. Zershin, Torzi, Brolin all had their moments. Shuhei, still incredible fragging in-game leader. And the important part, tactically, Mouz ran circles around G2 on both of these maps, especially on the T sides. Snacks simply had no way to stop the T side control from this team. Like here, on the very final round of the map, I think G2 just have a completely wrong read on what Mouz are going for. They get the intel early that Mouz are pushing long, but they're overly stacked on Cat in middle. They leave Malbs on an island to hold A by himself as they continue to poke for mid control. And listen, Malbs is great, he was great in this series, but a 1v5 is a bit extreme to ask of the guy. Like, I have no idea, even though G2, yeah, they're low bot, fair enough, why they decided to overly prioritize Cat instead of playing a more standard setup towards long and falling back towards the site. Instead, Mouz gets a 1-for-1 trade, and the bomb goes down 30 seconds into the round, and it's a 4v4 retake to fend off the match point. Like, those odds just overwhelmingly favor Mouz. It was honestly a layup. And G2, yeah, they get a couple of picks. You know, Muzzy gets some shots, but it takes far too long for him to probe into site control because, again, it's a 4v4 retake. So Mouz, they take the early series lead, and then we move on to Mirage, and you think, okay, Mirage, that's a great map for G2 to frag out, put their individuals on display, and just not have to worry about the strat book. But here's the thing, not only are Mouz still out calling you, now the individuals come online. Because let's be honest, the individual strength of the Mouz players is not that far off what G2 have to offer. Torji is an incredible omper. Yeah, he's not Munacy, but he's not that much worse. Xerxin is an incredible rifler. Yeah, he's not a Nico or a Malbs, but again, he's not that worse. And then no one on G2 can anchor like Jinfat, who's arguably the best anchor in the world, and Shuhi is by far and away the better in-game leader. So here, Mouz, they're out to play. They're just having fun. Their CT side, dominant. Their T side, unstoppable. And it's to the point that Shuhi is just playing with you at a certain point. This team usually likes to play slow, but on round 10, Shuhi knows they're underbot, and G2 aren't going to expect them to hit a pace shift, so they go for a slightly delayed A take. They just burst out onto the A site and run G2 over. 3 Tech 9s, 2 Galeals, none of the utility that G2 have to offer, and yet somehow G2 cannot fend off this take. And I love the extra over-aggression from Mouz here. They play their advantage strongly. They plant the bomb, they go straight through into CT, Torji and Jinfat just run it down, they get right in the G2 players' faces, and they take all these important picks and give G2 no room to retake, no room to save, just a total shutdown. And again, you want to talk about toying with your opponents. They play super aggressively in the previous round. Then in the next, they play super slow. They show some early attention A, they show some early attention into mid. They run down over a minute of the clock before Mouz start to bend their way back into the B site. G2 have left Munacy on a solo mission with the op, and credit to Munacy, who played great in this series. He's going to hit 2 of these shots, and then once again, now the individuals for Mouz come online. Torji with one of the best 4K op clips you're going to see all year. To me, I thought Mouz are going to win this series after this round. It just felt like they had that aura to them today, and G2, they were just playing more normal than they had previously in the tournament. And credit G2, they get to their second half, they win the pistol plus the first 2 on their T side, and then Mouz just lock it in. 6 straight rounds, G2 can't get anything, no side takes, no clutches, no individual excellence. Mouz playing perfect CT Counter-Strike on Mirage, and Mouz, they do it, they close out a 2-0 victory over an otherwise seemingly unbeatable G2 lineup. And with these 2 upsets, our semifinal matchups are locked in for tomorrow. We have Vitality taking on Saw, and Na'Vi taking on Mouz. And listen, I'm in Saw's corner 100%. I think they've proven that all bets are off, anything can happen. But at the end of the day, Vitality should be winning the series. I don't know if Saw have enough left in the tank after having to overcome all of these different odds to make it through yet another series. If Saw do by some miracle beat Vitality tomorrow, this is probably one of the greatest Cinderella runs in the history of Counter-Strike. On the other side of the bracket, Na'Vi versus Mouz is going to be a bloodbath. Na'Vi have been in incredible form going into this matchup, but Mouz, I think they have a good enough map pool to combat what Na'Vi does best. I think Mouz need to push around the veto a little bit and do their best to avoid Mirage, and if they can do that, this series will be very interesting. In the end, I want to see a Na'Vi Vitality final because it would just be an absolute spectacle, but if Mouz or Saw can overcome the odds, fair play to them. Alright guys, that'll be it for me today. Once again, make sure you check me out on the Josh Should Strike podcast tonight at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That link will be at the top of the description. Shout out to Josh. I'm looking forward to having our conversation. My videos are powered by Advanced.gg. If you check out their website, pick one of their many excellent products and decide to make a purchase, you can use my code LIONS10 at checkout for 10% off anytime, and for the next 24 hours only when you're watching this video, it is currently up to 15% off, so make sure you check it out, and if you do make a purchase, it lets them know that I sent you their way, so thank you to Advanced.gg as always. Shout out to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Bubblesj, and Dr. Cocktor for keeping the lights on. If you want to become a channel member, check the link in the description down below. Also follow me on Twitch, all the good stuff, like, comment, subscribe, because I didn't plug it at the beginning. Anyways, I'm tired. Later.